We're back, and we're talking about NOS4A2 by Joe Hill. Before we get into this, I read Horns earlier this year and I made a video about it on my other channel, which I will link below. You should probably watch the video first because, one, it's a pretty good video, if I say so myself, and two, the way that I talk about this book might not make as much sense unless you've seen the other one. Also, I'm wearing the same lipstick in that video, so continuity. That has nothing to do with the situation. And I promise that the title will become clear momentarily. So it is about Vic McQueen, who has this talent where she can ride her bike over this bridge and get to wherever she needs to be. Like if she needs to find something or she needs to get away. And then we also have Charles Talent Manx, who is similarly talented, but evil as fuck. He takes children in his car, sucks the life and energy out of them, and then takes them to a place called Christmasland. This is the license plate on his car because NOS4A2 means vampire in German, and he murders children. So in a rebellious moment, Vic ends up finding him, and then she becomes one of the only children to escape, and then her whole adult life is plagued by him trying to get revenge on her, because he's a huge dick. I did like the magical element of the story, especially when Vic was a kid, and I also like the portrayal of her as she's grown up in her relationships, and all the struggles she goes through, and how her past affects her, and how she's attempting to deal with that, and how you can't just be cured from stuff like that. So even though there are like magical elements in the story, I feel like all the characters were really grounded and kind of responded in appropriate ways to what was happening. Now we're going to be talking about the gendered aspect. Surprising, I know, coming from this channel. This is the part that's going to particularly make more sense if you've watched the Horns video. So in a weird way, I actually think this was better than Horns. We have the actual inclusion of female voices and perspectives. What a notion. But then we also have gendered violence and really gross things said and done to women. But this is all done in a very specific context, where in Horns, this is just interwoven into the entire plot of the story. So in NOS4A2, how do I say this without sounding like a dick? In this book, all of the stuff is only coming from two specific characters, which are Charles Manx and his sidekick, whose reasons are very clear and very easily pulled out of the story. So throughout the whole book, Manx talks about how tattoos make women look available and how all women are whores and just all of this great stuff to expose people to. And he is literally a men's rights activist. Like, let me read you this passage. For context, he has kidnapped a small young boy person, and this is just what he's saying to him in casual conversation. Do you know what? All the happiest times in my life were times when I was free of the feminine influence, when I didn't have to make accommodations. Men spend most of their lives being passed from woman to woman and being pressed into service for them. You cannot imagine the life I have saved you from. Men cannot stop thinking about women. They get thinking about a lady and it's like a hungry man thinking about a rare steak. Gross. When you are hungry and you smell a steak on the grill, you get distracted from that tight feeling in your throat and you quit thinking. Women are aware of this. They take advantage of it. They set terms, same as your mother sets terms before you come to dinner. If you don't clean your room, change your shirt, and wash your hands, you aren't allowed to sit at the dinner table. Most men figure they are worth something if they can meet the terms a woman sets for them. It provides them with their whole sense of value, but when you take a woman out of the picture, a man can get a little quiet inside. When there is no one to bargain with except for yourself and other men, you can figure yourself out. That always feels good. Cute! And so then there's his sidekick, who is very impressionable and being fed all of this stuff. And he's also really susceptible to this because he is disturbed and he very clearly has issues specifically with his mother, and he acts this out in sexual assault and rape towards women. In terms of Joe Hill still using gendered violence and misogyny in his story, he was more critical about it in this book, and there's a very clear motive and reasons for why it's happening. Whereas in Horns, it was just like most of the entire plot of the book. Like this, it was just so overcast it was hard to pick it out. And then again, even though you have the reasons and motives, it doesn't act as any type of excusing conditions because the people that are doing this are clearly evil as fuck. This book is also way too long. It's 700 pages and that was just unnecessary. I am all for dark Christmas stories, but why with the gendered violence always? Is it necessary to continue normalizing women as legitimate objects of violence? Is it though? Is it? None of his novels that I've read so far are as good as Lock and Key, the graphic novel series. So just stick to that. You don't need to venture off. You are good with that. And you probably have other things that are better that you can spend your time on. I read it for you, and so we're good now.